Southern California, yeah.
Born and raised our DNA. Laugh and cry to what we say. We hit you with that wordplay.
4053.
What episode are we on? D, they feeling like they be zombies, all dressed in Abercrombie.
SoCal DNA coming in live. 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. COVID got you sitting inside. Why not sip one and free your mind?
Cheap thrills, popping pills, stack cash, spend it fast.
Listen to all of those lives as Arjun act like he's surprised. And there we go. Good afternoon or evening or morning, whenever you're tuning in. This is episode 8 of the SoCal DNA. And I think today, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling a little free. A little freer than usual, after Memorial Day and all that.
Sure.
Shout out Memorial Day. It's Tuesday, everyone. Apologize. My schedule has been quite difficult for Arjun to adapt to, but I'm super grateful that he's able to, accommodate me. So I'm hoping that, you guys enjoy this, and eventually we'll get to some sort of concrete schedule, I'd say. Sometime soon. Within a decade, I'd say. Something like that. Within a decade.
I think the audience will never be mad at you for grinding, for hustling, for making sure that the people you love the most are being taken care of. So, if anything, the audience should be mad at me for my controversial opinions and my hot takes. But, I think for today in particular, since it is a Tuesday, we're going to mix it up a little bit, and we're going to go into some interesting topics here, not so much article-driven for today, but just more philosophical. Yeah. So the one that I wanted to start off with, with Memorial Day weekend especially, and even during COVID season, we're noticing different publishers, different companies giving you steep discounts, major discounts. And I thought to myself, a lot of times I'm just looking for the biggest bargain for something that I don't really need. If it's normal situation, normal time, I might just look at the MSRP and just pass on, keep on walking. But because I see limited time only discount, I actually think, hey, what if I buy this? Do I have the budget for it? What if I just keep this here? What if it ends up being a paperweight, but it's so cheap. The paperweight's so cheap right now. I would be remiss if I didn't buy it at the moment. So what I wanted to basically delve into is, why do we hunt for bargains in the first place? Why do we do it? And that's number one. Number two, what are the ways that we do that? And I think number two is a little bit easier to get into, right? So for me personally, I am guilty for this. Maybe you are too, Don. I always go on SlickDeals.net.
Yeah, that's pretty much like my homepage, man. The first thing I look at, because dude, most of the deals take place like in the early morning, and if you're a size double XL like me, or a size 12 shoe, that's
sure.
All the first pickings are usually those, so it's quite difficult to capture that.
No, I feel you. And the thing is, like, I'm kind of a noob when it comes to Slick Deals. Initially, I would just go to the main homepage, and I would just look through the front page ads, right? Like, see what's good. Amateur, right? And then later on, I realized, hey, if you go into the deals, and then there's like something called popular deals. And that made me realize, oh, wow, all the deals that are not on the front page yet, they're in the popular deals section. And that's really where you get the best stuff. But of course, if you're like an advanced, sophisticated user like Don, you probably have a Slick Deals account. You have alerts set up for all the different good things that you're looking for. And you're not wasting time just scanning through page after page. The alerts inform you, hey, Clorox wipes are for sale, or hand sanitizer is for sale. And you could jump on that directly. But tell me this, Don. How often would you say you buy something from Slick Deals?
Honestly, I can't even recall the last time that I did.
Really? Wow.
But you have to also understand that my priorities right now are a little bit different. I'm trying to even recall the last thing that I purchased out of sheer, fucking I'm ballin' sort of mentality. I can spend money. I think like the last thing I bought were like some bougie candles, some that I have like kind of lit right next to me, get me in the mood.
Sure.
Gotta work on that. But on Slick Deals, I don't recall. I mean, I constantly, or I frequent it But if I may jump a little step further from Slick Deals, to upgrade you a little bit, give you a little shoulder bump up from amateur to semi-pro. There's this other website called BrickSeek. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, Slick Deals oftentimes talks about this in the comment section, but I think it's really like YMMV, right? Like your mileage may vary depending on what store they talk about. Let's say like Walmart, for instance, has whey protein for sale, 80% off. Well, it may not be every Walmart.
Exactly.
And it may not be. So I've never really dabbled into BrickSeek, but I imagine it's so like random. Like you don't know for sure which stores will offer these deals, right?
Yeah, I mean, but it does BrickSeek. So long as the employees are not lazy enough to go look at their stocks and inventory for that one unit that is actually at that sale price, it hasn't been problematic. And I've been using it recently when I was searching for that PS4 and PS4 Pro. Because at that time they still had like limited edition sales or bundles that were still at the sale price of like $300 or something like that.
Okay.
But they just weren't, like, I'd have to fucking drive to like Vegas or some shit like that. I was like, nah, it's not worth it at that point.
Yeah.
But I mean, the last time I used Slick Deals, maybe it was last year, if that. Don't even know what. If anything, it was like for like firewood, where I was using to like smoke bacon or something like that. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, my priorities have changed, bro.
No, I feel you. But I hope I'm not giving the impression that I'm like this crazy slick dealer that buys things out of whimsy. It's not that. Like for instance, recently I think I saw a deal for paper.
Sure.
I think it was like
Dunder. Was it Dunder Mifflin?
I wish it was. I would have even accepted the box. If the box just said Dunder Mifflin, I would have loved that. But no, it was just, HP, paper. And because the thing is, like, my dad is working from home back in Torrance, and he does a lot of printing. And so, we have this printer that, I set up for him and everything, but he goes through paper quickly, man. Yeah. And believe it or not, a while back, I bought him like this box of 2,500 sheets, 2,500 pieces of paper. Sure. He went through that in like a month.
That's a lot. You took out like you take out, or Dad takes out a tree like monthly, then, doesn't he?
He's a tree killer, man. He's a notorious tree killer, and so I had to fuel his tree killing desire. So I found this deal. I think it was like $20 for another 2,500 pieces of paper, and I thought that was fantastic. Usually they go for about 25 to 30.
Yeah.
Gosh, I sound kind of like Jim. From The Office, talking about the card stock of the paper, talking about number of reams I sold today.
It's exciting.
To Clancy. But I what I realized about Slick Deals is, you can find almost anything. You could find things that you don't need, right? But you can also find things that you do need, and things that you've been kind of thinking about, like, hey, if only this was a little bit cheaper, or I know this is cyclical. Usually around this time of year, this particular item goes down in price.
Sure.
If you know all that information, the Slick Deals community is good at finding the deals and posting them for you. So I use it not necessarily to make whimsical purchases, but just overall, whatever I find on there that's interesting, that may be of use, I go ahead and go for it.
Well, I think that's a good question to build off of. Do you ever spend your money in a whimsical manner?
I have. I certainly have.
Most recently?
Most recently, let me think.
Because my ass admitted to the candle thing. Like, these are like maybe like $25 candles.
No, I feel you. Well, I mean, for me, one thing that I was always kind of interested in, because I watched the show, The Walking Dead, for instance. I knew that it was based on a comic book series, but I never actually had a desire to read the comic books before.
Sure.
But certain things happened in more recent seasons on the show that made me think, wow, this is very interesting. I kind of want to know if this is a close adaptation of the comic book series, or if they're really going different ways. And from what I've been told by some other people, they really change it up. The comic book's a lot darker. It's a lot more violent stuff going on. So I thought, okay, let me kind of explore this market a little bit, I realize the comic books are super expensive. And I'm not really a comic book person. I don't even own a comic book. So I'm just trying to read them, right? I'm just trying to like quickly glance through them without collecting them or anything. So recently on Slick Deals, they posted this special offer from Humble Bundle. You probably heard about Humble Bundle before. Oftentimes they like have bundles of games or whatever else at a very, very cheap price, and of course you can pay more if you want to. You can, donate more. I think it's tied to some charity every time. But they had like a $18 deal for the entire Walking Dead comic book series, like all 190 something issues. I thought, you know what, this is a steal. I'll probably never be able to get this kind of deal ever again. Might as well buy it and just have it in my inventory. Have I looked at it? Have I read a single issue since like 2 or 3 weeks ago? No, I haven't even touched it. But it's there. It's there if I need to. It's there whenever I have the curiosity. But I can even share a more interesting story actually in terms of frivolous spending. So from time to time in years past, I haven't done this recently, but in years past, I would really enjoy going to the 99-cent store. Why, you might be asking? Why do I enjoy going to the 99-cent store? Well, it's because if you walk in there with a $20 bill, you're living like a king. You can pretty much buy whatever you want.
Yeah, even for the items that are priced beyond 99 cents, you're like, I got this, man. I got this.
Exactly. And by the way, that's a shame that certain items are priced more than 99 cents. I think it's going against the ethos of the dollar store if it's like $4.99 or $10.
I think it says 99 cents and up now, doesn't it?
It does, yes, right. It does. Actually.
Yeah.
They changed their marketing a little bit to cover their asses, but I'll say, this is stupid, but I remember years ago, I went with my friend one time to the 99-cent store, and we just went to the toy section.
Sure.
And it was like really fun and also kind of embarrassing too, because you have a couple of like grown ass men and just like finding, oh hey, this gun is kind of cool, this Nerf gun is kind of cool, or oh hey, they have cowboy hats. Like, it's just so stupid. We're just wasting time, just like in that section, and
it's warranted because some people, sadly, that's their big spend of the week, where it doesn't have to go to rent, it doesn't have to go to food, it doesn't have to go to childcare and stuff like that. Dude, because I remember when I was growing up, we would not frequent it, but we would get some of the like easily adaptable staple items from there. And my favorite thing to get there, when I knew it was a good week and I was a good boy, dude, they'd have these giant Charleston chews, which is like these giant hard-ass taffy candy bars.
Familiar.
That I love, dude. They were like totally rips probably of like Tootsie Rolls. Like Tootsie Rolls were that little like one up above. Like that's when you knew you made it. The Charleston Chew was like, yo, you got to grind through this sucker. Your jaw might hurt after that, but you know what? You got it.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
I don't think I've ever actually had an official Charleston Chew,
dude,
but
I don't know if they make them anymore.
Yeah, there's actually, I Googled it right now, and one of the first things that Google recommends for people who ask, or people also ask, is, do they still make Charleston Chews? And they say, ownership of the company has changed several times over the years, but today, Charleston Chews are made by the Tootsie Company.
Ooh, okay, check it out. Oh, yeah. Charleston Chews on its way up.
I got you. So, next time I'm in the dollar store, I'll be sure to try a Charleston Chew.
You gotta get it. At least one. Chocolate. Chocolate's where it's at, man. There's vanilla. No, avoid the vanilla. You want to go with the chocolate.
Okay, I got you. So, yeah, I think Slick Deals and, 99-cent store, I have definitely spent some time there, more than my fair share there. Yep. But going to your point, though, I fully acknowledge and I appreciate the 99-cent store offers a lot of staples for people, and myself as well. Like time to time, when I shop for my family, back in Torrance, I know that certain 99-cent stores have like a produce section.
Yep.
And it's actually good produce. It's actually good. It's not bad. And so you can oftentimes find better deals there than at, let's say, a Vaughn's or a Ralph's or whatever. So it is a good place to go. My take on it in terms of like grocery shopping in general is kind of like this. I treat Costco the same way. like obviously you want to always maximize your budget. You want to make sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck, and the per unit value of the things you're purchasing
Oh,
makes a lot of sense.
those are some big words there. Whoa, per unit value? That is, that's some
Those are
budgeting, like high level, college level budgeting kind of classes that you probably took, huh?
Well, I'm sure you took more than me in grad school, so you're flattering myself. Flattering me right now. I'll say this: I think Costco in general. I'm not saying for every little thing, but Costco in general is the best place to go if you know that you can consume everything that you buy in a proper time.
Yeah, consume
Obviously,
or save or store. Yeah.
yes, yeah, something like that. Because I mean, if you're only shopping for yourself, it may be difficult. Because look, I usually eat like a Greek yogurt and maybe some other stuff for lunch, right? And I've been buying it most of the time from like a Ralph's or a Vaughn's. You get like a 4-pack for the week, which is great, fantastic.
Oh man, you've
But
been messing up. You gotta go Costco for that like 20 pack of Cho Brownie.
yes, exactly, exactly. No, I kid you not. That's exactly what I bought this past weekend, and I realized this is great. But then I also realized, and this is going off on a tangent, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Sure.
When it comes to yogurt, I'm not a fan of when the yogurt separates into the whey and the other stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'll probably just pour off the whey. But
Yeah.
this is the problem, Don. As you know, being almost a full-fledged doctor, that the protein and the nutrients are really in the whey.
Sure.
So the fact that I'm like dumping out the liquidy part because it kind of grosses me out, I'm doing myself a disservice. And as you know, when the date goes on and on, right? When the expiration date is long gone, it's been a week or two, they separate even more. The whey comes out even more. So my question to you is, what kind of a yogurt eater are you? Are you the one that just mixes it all together and you don't even give a damn?
Oh yeah, man. That's what I do. Nothing's going to waste over here. No, in all honesty, I'm the same way. I kind of pour it out. I think it's. I mean, the aesthetics of food is something you consume before you physically consume it.
Sure.
And to me, when something doesn't look right, or if there's something on, like a taco, for example, and let's say they put like a damn charred jalapeno on it automatically, and I'm not about that, I'll remove the jalapeno if I'm not in the mood or whatever.
Okay.
Same thing with yogurt, man. Like, I mean, sometimes it's hard when you peel that nicely foiled wrapping off, and then you get kind of like craters looking, or like some pots look drier than others, and then if you tip it over to a side and you see a little like lake forming, you're like, man.
I know exactly. Like, damn, son, I gotta like dump this. I gotta get a nap.
Man. Yeah. You like look around to you like, damn, I hope no one sees this or something like
Dude,
that.
yes, that happens to me every time. Like, I know, like when I unpeel the top and I look at that lake of water, that lake of whey, I look to my right. I'm like, oh man, is Stanton watching? Is the homie watching today? I hope not. Let me kind of get like a little covering over here, and let me.
Yeah, man. And hopefully you pour it in like you don't pour it directly in like a trash can. Like you find a sink or something. But then if you pour it in the sink, like that shit splatters, and then like sometimes you get some like some yogurt casualties, where little bits and pieces of the yogurt that you were gonna eat actually fall in.
Dude, like 2 weeks ago, the biggest casualty of all time happened to me. And of course, I'm talking about first world problems here, but so I was doing that, right? I was dumping it out. I was dumping out the whey, but then I think something distracted me, and I looked away for a little bit. And when I looked back, the entire contents of the container was into the trash can. And that was my fucking lunch.
And then you took that spoon and you're like, 5-second rule.
No,
yeah, right.
no, I did not. It's wet, bro. 5-second rule does not apply to wet.
No, man. See, it forms a little like, like that contact, that surface area that touches the bag or other things. See, man, that's the dirty part. You eat around it. You eat around it. You got a good 5-second. I'd say like 15-second window, honestly.
I might as well just use the sink as my bowl at that point, right? And just take like a big ladle to just like ladle up to my face.
Yeah, man.
No, man. I think I need to find a right Greek yogurt, because I tried Chobani. I've tried the Dan and Oikos.
Okay.
They're good. They're good. I wonder like what else is out there. I know there's something called like FAGE. I don't know how to pronounce it. Fage. Fage. I'm afraid of saying something else there. But do you have a preference though in general for like a good Greek yogurt?
Right now, so for one of my dishes, I'm actually using Greek yogurt. And right now my brand of choice is Greek God, or Greek Gods, something like that. It's a little bit on the premium side of thing. Right, because and the thing is, because I'm using it for cooking, I'm not getting the individually wrapped ones. I'm getting the tubs. Right.
Got you. Okay.
But to me, that has the best kind of like that Greek yogurt bite that you would get out of Greek yogurt, without being the played out high end, or rather mass produced brand like others, which I won't call out. But I'm just saying, I think Greek Gods is really good. The consistency, you get the less whey, at least from my experience for the past couple months. I've had just consistent results, and it does last long in the fridge, where, like you said, the longer and longer it sits, the more it tends to build up.
Sure.
You don't get that as much with Greek Gods. So shout out Greek Gods. Hey, if you want to sponsor SoCal DNA, I'm sure Arjun will consume all the yogurt you spend over.
Oh, I will. And this is finally one sponsor that we can both agree on. In the past, we've had some riffs with some artists that we reviewed, but Greek Gods, shout out, man. Like, I'll try the honey flavor, the plain traditional, the strawberry, the black cherry, and all the rest you have on your website. Send it over for sure, for sure. Okay, so I will look into the Greek Gods, and I think yogurt is something that is, of course, very important to my lunch, but I think other things can be important as well. Other things that start with the same letter as the FAGE Greek yogurt. So maybe you want to get into.
Man. I mean, it's something I've been thinking about, and I know many of the tough questions you bounced to me, and I was like, man, you know what? It's time bounce Arjun up. A tough question that he hasn't really prepared for more than maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
Sure.
And it's something that they ask us a lot in graduate school, at least in the programs that I've been, when they're trying to develop some sort of vision that you may have for yourself and your future careers, and just in general with your life. And that question is, man, I gotta look it up so I could quote it correctly. Which of the 4 F's is most important to you? Fame, fortune, family, or freedom? And it's very, very difficult because all of them can coincide in some ways with each other. But for Arjun, I'm going to have him rank. We won't even do 1 through 4. I think we'll do what's the most important and what's the least important of him to his life.
Okay. I would say, first of all, I'm going to apply my interpretation of what each of these things mean.
Sure.
And I know I'm not going to reveal it yet, but based off of my interpretation, I would say family number 1, and I think a lot of people will say that as well. Number 4 is actually the more interesting conversation. For number 4, I debate between fame and freedom.
Completely different from what I would do.
Interesting.
But go ahead. You go ahead and go first.
Okay, yeah, I'll be curious to hear yours later. But so obviously, family number 1, because I think in life, it is, at least for me, it is paramount to take care of the ones you love, and to prioritize them above other facets of your life.
Sure.
I think that is it's a sign of maturity to recognize that, life isn't just about you. Life is about coexisting with others, and I'm the type of person that if I can make somebody else's life a little bit more meaningful, or give them some kind of peace, or bring them some joy, I will go out of my way to do that. And that's how I've always been. So that's why family for me, out of the 4 F's, is easily the most important. Now, why do I hesitate between fame and freedom for the last one? Well, it depends on my interpretation of these words.
Sure.
I think freedom is extremely subjective, because on one hand, you can think of it this way. If you are working a 9 to 5, chances are you are not entirely free. You are under the thumb of a certain regime. You are at the beck and call of a superior, of
Mm-hmm.
a master of some kind. Another way of looking at freedom is, are you able to do what you want whenever you want?
Mm-hmm.
And for multiple reasons, the answer for most people is no, primarily because of societal conventions, right? I think we choose to live in a society instead of an anarchy. And because of that, we acknowledge that we give up certain freedoms for the greater good, right? Just to keep this entire civilization going. Um, so that's my interpretation of freedom. And so why do I compare that as a lowest rung thing with fame? Well, fame is interesting. Fame means many different things. Fame could mean that you are recognized for what you do. You have some kind of a claim. You have a reputation that precedes you. And all of those things could potentially be used to your advantage in achieving career aspirations, social aspirations, whatever it may be. Um, I even look at this podcast as a microcosm. Uh, One of the almost intrinsic goals of having a podcast be uploaded to YouTube is to increase the subscriber count, increase the number of views, and make sure they watch not just for the first 10 seconds, but for a long duration of the show. And that can be classified as a type of fame. We may not be thinking of the traditional way of fame, where you're a celebrity, the paparazzi follows you. All of that stuff can be very uninteresting to me. Like I don't want to be the type of person that gets hounded by the press, hounded by paparazzi 24/7, preventing me from living my life. So if I look at it purely in that way, where fame just means attention as well as negative attention, I can easily rank fame last. But if fame just means people know me to contribute something, to add something to the table, something to the conversation, I think that is something that is somewhat desirable. Not more so than fortune, not more so than family, but it is somewhat desirable. And it plays into the whole idea of, are you ever truly free? Right? So do you really have free will? And this can lead to multiple conversations as well, because what is free will in the first place? I think, depending on how you look at it, if you happen to be a very religious person that believes that God, the creator, is all knowing, God has a plan for each and every individual. If you do believe that, and you are perfectly entitled to believe such a thing, then I believe free will is an illusion. I think we are all given a certain range of things we can do, but all the branched out possibilities from each decision we make are known to somebody higher up, is known to the entity that you may call God. And if that is the case, if what you're doing is pretty much predetermined or just known, regardless of what path you may think you're taking, then I think freedom is an illusion. So for that reason alone, I don't even count that as being of importance, because I
Mm.
count that as a given that you don't have it.
Mm.
Regardless of what you do in life, either from a religious context or from a working context, you are still a slave to something. You are a slave to something, whether it's time, whether it's the paycheck, whether it's
Oh
religion.
man, dude, you took it so deep, and
I did.
in honor of Memorial Day too, man. But this probably isn't the best topic.
Probably, but that's how I look at these things. And
Sure,
so
sure, sure.
because of that, I would actually say, in the way that I interpreted it, and feel free to disagree, I would rank freedom last. I would put fame above
Definitely,
freedom.
definitely. I definitely disagree with you there. Freedom for me is actually second.
Okay,
We share the same similarity in regards to family being number one,
sure.
and I think that could be said about many people that had, the same loving camaraderie and group of people that protected us when we were young, and we feel that sense of entitlement that only those that had such love while growing up, we feel that we have to sort of pass it on wherever we can. That's how we were taught, It's who we are, and I think we could owe much, if not all, of our success to it.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I totally disagree with you, because to me, freedom comes second. And it's not to disagree with your approach, but in my opinion, to me, freedom is having the ability of not giving a fuck about anything else. To only give a fuck about what you care about, so long as you're not hurting another person. It allows me to be creative and be unforgiving, so long as I know what I'm doing is true. I have the freedom to make that decision and make that happen. And I think freedom is typically not described in that fashion, but to me, that's what it means. Similar to how you were talking about how free will kind of can run hand in hand with it, and whether or not you agree with the idea of it, it varies, right? Because I myself am not so much as before practicing Catholic or Christian. It's odd when you say, there's something that's predetermined or some sort of fate that's already been kind of trekked out or written for your own self.
Right.
But I feel there's slight adjustments, in my opinion, on that, where there may be something written out in the book of God or higher being, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
The thing is, I feel, and you're going to kind of laugh at this, I don't know if you've ever done this, but back in the day, they used to have these Goosebump stories.
I love Goosebumps. I love them.
Yeah, and they came out with this iteration where, depending on what decision you make at the end of a certain chapter, you would flip to a certain other chapter, depending on that decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I feel that's the kind of book that, God may have printed our names and our lives into, where, yes, it is predetermined based off of your actions. And if you're a believer in the idea of infinity, which I am, that book is endless. Thus, it's not necessarily predetermined, but there may be an idea behind it that has spurred such growth.
I think Don, you actually agree with me 100%, because when you really think about what you're saying,
I try not to, though, man. It's hard.
well, let me just kind of, as I tend to do, let me just summarize. You're basically saying that you have so many different decisions and choices in life that could branch out into millions upon infinity decisions, right? And in that sense, you do not know how your life will end up, because every day you're making these decisions, every day you're making these calls.
Yep.
And what a higher power will know about you is, yes, there are an infinite number of possibilities, but the thing that you're forgetting is, if you believe in that higher power being omnipresent, being all-knowing, then you also believe that those infinite possibilities, even though infinite is not a real number, those infinite possibilities are known. Meaning, whatever you do end up doing in life, that particular branch does exist in the book, in the plan. And so if you acknowledge that, then you're also acknowledging that free will, freedom...
I get what you're saying. Yeah, well... Tomato, because I get it, like you're saying, it's already done, to really simplify it. And I think, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but to me it's not, because it's still a new experience for me at the very least, right?
Exactly, Don. So basically you're choosing to believe in the illusion.
Sure.
You see my point.
I get it. I just don't want to agree with it, because, I just don't. No, and I mean, okay, let's move on from this. I think, yes, we agree with it, but then for me, my fourth F is actually fortune.
I
don't give a shit about money. That is it's a man-made created item that I could give two shits about. You see what happens to the markets with one idea that sweeps the nation.
Sure.
Why should I succumb? Family, of course, will not succumb to that at all. Freedom to me won't. Fame? I'd rather have the fame, because remember Bugman D? Bugman D?
Yeah,
Bugman D takes care of his people, man. You don't need money. You just need that leadership and that aura to lead and be liked.
And
there is no
big Filipino fork, right?
Yeah, man. Or release that eventually. There is no better currency in life than that of love and friendship. And I'm a huge believer that though people may take fame to mean literal like spotlights or becoming an influencer nowadays or some shit like that. Mm-hmm. To me, fame is respect. It is the idea that people look up to you and put you on a pedestal because you're known to do something they cannot do. And that's one of the things I'm reaching for in my life, which is a damn Michelin star. I want that fame. And not because I know the fortune comes with it or, you know, the accolades and all that. No, it's just to have the respect of others and other masters of the field. To say, yeah, he's one of us. Yeah, he belongs here. It's an exclusivity sort of approach to things, to know and be recognized.
Okay, let me turn that on its head completely. Don, how much money would you be willing to fight Mike Tyson for?
Yo, dude, easy, man. With the fame that comes with it.
Okay.
You know?
You're gonna say with the fame that comes with it. Okay, yeah, I see what you did there.
You know what I mean?
Very
Like, dude,
slick.
yeah. Like, you could honestly, I would do it. What? Maybe like $1 million, easy. Take a punch, whatever. That's fine. I'll just trade my neck so that way I don't get too bad of a whiplash. You know, not a big deal.
Oh my god.
No, because dude. Like, again, this kind of goes back to the original thing of, like, you know, would you contract AIDS for a certain amount of money? Things like that. Yeah, you would. Or, well, that's a bad example. That's going to speak up fortune. To take a punch from Mike Tyson, because it wouldn't be a fight. It would be him punching me once and boom. Hopefully I wake up after a coma. The fame you would attain there far outreaches whatever dollars you would get, because you would instantly become viral.
I disagree completely. How can you even say? So basically, what you're saying is you're a Joe Blow, you're a random guy.
Hell yeah.
And you're in a viral video.
For now.
Get into a fight with Tyson, and basically he punches you once and you go down.
Not well. You know what? I'm gonna dodge like one or two of them. You know, or I'll take one. You know, maybe not on the chin. Maybe I'll like dodge one of them if I get lucky. You know, he usually swings with that right first, so, you know, let's just try to dodge that first one. Be like, oh yeah, I dodged Mike Tyson. Can you? You know, boom, you start selling tickets for the next one. Oh, what's your next event? It's a show now. Oh, who produces it? D does. Dude. Boom. What's up? I gotta have ideas.
Clearly, you have the vision that I do not have. It's probably the vision that you get after being knocked out a few times.
You know what? It happens. All right, it happens.
I feel you. So, okay, I can understand that. I understand that basically you're taking the traditional idea of fortune and saying that, you know what, I know what I care about in life. I know what matters to me in life, and I know that the real currency is social equity, social currency.
Sure.
Through family, through love, through friends.
Yeah.
This all makes sense to me. I totally get you. My take is, I think in a more realistic perspective and in a much more practical sense, you know that the problems you have without money are really tough. And the problems you have with money, they're problems, but you can manage. You can deal with the problems that come with money.
No, and I keep telling these people, like, why'd you drop out of medical school? Why'd you get a business degree instead? I said, and my answer would be, if you have money and you're able to teach people about money, that will get rid of at least 90% of their problems.
You could do those infomercials, right? Where, have you ever seen it back in the day where it's like this very rich Asian guy surrounded by scantily clad women on a boat, and they say, "Hey, you want to be like me, Tom Boo? Follow my instructions."
Oh yeah, man, that's gonna be next, dude. That's gonna be next. Damn, you're giving away my ideas for next week and the week after. That's what I'm gonna be doing. Hey, you want to be a part of the Fat Kids Club? Join me. That sort of thing. Yeah, man.
No, I hear you. I gotta say, this is not the first time I have dealt with this question. And I remember the last time I was asked this, it was probably for some undergraduate course.
Sure.
I did not rank it in this way. I did not rank freedom last. I think I ranked fame last.
Mm.
And I think upon taking a little bit of a survey in the class, most people ranked it the same way. They ranked it family, fortune, freedom, fame.
Yeah, I think it's the the fact that you're in a group of people and trying to remain somewhat humble and not too cocky and still maintain that not aura, that persona that you want other people to understand. You don't want to put fame first,
Sure.
otherwise you're just a piece of shit. You know, or fame. You know, second even. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure even then, you definitely had family first. I know that would be up there.
I did. I did.
So I don't know, man. Fortune again. I get it. I just.
But
It's.
let me tell you this. Sorry to cut you off there, but let me tell you this. I think I was having a conversation with one of my friends,
Mhm.
and we were talking about successful people in the industry. Not to name names or anything, but say at my company there's a high level executive who uh, really worked his way up over the years, and he's well respected, and he has a lot of clout. He has a lot of influence as well.
Sure.
And the conclusion we came to was that, you know, everybody, if they want to, they can go down a similar path where they prioritize the fame and fortune, so to speak, over everything else. Like, this is what they dream of, this is their ambition,
Sure.
and they take their ambition all the way to the top while sacrificing other things in life.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like a situation where the ends justifies the means, right? Because if you do that in the process, maybe you do burn bridges, maybe you do not get to experience all the things you would like to experience in life. But if at the end of the day you accomplish that goal of doing something that I guess less than 0.1% of the world can say they do, then I think that's something. I think that's a valuable, not a valuable, but it's a meaningful way to spend your life. And
Mhm.
I also say this because I think of a game that we were talking about last week, Civilization. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in Civilization, you time to time get these like historical figures or like these special geniuses,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And you can sacrifice them to build something quickly.
Sure.
Like you can basically use their talents to create the Parthenon or to create some library or some wonder.
It
And
depends. Yeah. Yeah. We call them great people. Great people.
great
You
people.
could have
That's right.
like
Sorry.
great merchants, great admirals, great artists, great writers, things like that. Yeah, and
I
you
got
use
you.
their action to create something that nobody else has except you.
Right. And I always like that concept because I think it applies to the real world too. I think a lot of times the people who make it, they may not necessarily be leading a balanced life or prioritizing certain things that most people would, but they set their sights on something. They're super ambitious and they stay on that path. They may fail time and time again, but eventually, if they're lucky, they catch a break and they never look back.
Hey, and I do want to stop you there. What is luck?
I think luck is what we call a an event that has a certain probability of occurring, and it's probably a low probability of occurring, but it happens. And it could be a series of events. It could be one event after another, a succession, and all of them happening with a positive outcome. But at the end of the day, it's pretty much a matter of math. It's a matter of probability. So when I say, oh, like, you know, I got lucky, like I won the lottery. I paid $5 for a ticket and I won the lottery.
God
Well,
damn, what kind of tickets are you buying, dude? That's like $1 or $2. What are you doing with 5?
well, clearly you can tell I don't buy lottery tickets. That's why I went with $5 as an example. But so basically, the way I look at it, every time you buy a lottery ticket, you're playing a game. You are playing a game of probability. It is extremely bad probability, and that's why most people lose. But someone wins. Someone wins. And unless you're a conspiracy theorist, unless you believe that the lottery every year or every month, however often they have it, is fixed, you're going to believe in those odds, like 1 in a billion, 1 in 10 billion, whatever it is. So that's how I look at what being lucky means. Lucky means that you went through a series of decisions that had varying probability, and it took one event after another, with those odds, with those probabilities, all kind of multiplied together to give you the chance of actually achieving that particular thing that you feel lucky about. So, in other words, let's say there's two events, right? If the first event has a 50% chance of happening, second event has a 50% chance of happening, what's the probability that both of those events will happen back to back? Okay, if you want to treat it as a rhetorical question, then the answer is 0.25, right? It's just 0.5 to the
Oh, I
square
didn't know
five.
you were asking me. I thought you were still just going at it. Sorry, no.
Oh, my bad, it's all
Yeah,
good,
I
it's all
was
good.
like I'm here just like fixing my vape, and then I was like, oh, he wanted me to answer that.
I'm gonna let him talk that shit. I'm gonna let him talk that shit for a while. No, I feel no. So yeah, like basically the way I look at it, I think if you really want to bottle it down to a science, if you want to look at it practically, it is a matter of probabilities. That is what we define as lucky.
Man,
Now, of course,
you are such a scientist and mathematician.
well, I'm being a realist in this sense
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like you can turn it around. You can probably give me a more meaningful definition of what lucky means, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, but not to bore our audience here. Dude, honestly, to me, luck is being at the right place at the right time. And yes, the probability of it is slim to none. I think what really happens is you're at the right place and at the right time, and you are prepared to do whatever the fuck you need to do to achieve that next level up.
Mm.
That's what luck is. Luck is preparation, and then that one mistake another person has that you could capitalize on to make you gain whatever the hell is at hand. Um, yeah, but yeah, I mean, all things can eventually or actually be mathematically applied, and you could always quantify things. Um, Sometimes not the right way. You could always manipulate graphs and shit to do whatever the fuck you want, or to tell the
Like you do
story.
every day at work, right?
Hell yeah, man, dude. Hey, my projections right now are super good given
There you
COVID
go.
season. I'm just saying.
There you
Yeah, the
go.
future is
Bullish.
looking bright. The
Very
future is looking
bullish. I
bright.
like it. I like it. So basically, what you're saying is, luck is the
Fucker.
intersection. I know you hate that. Luck is the intersection of timing, preparation, and execution.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
like that.
And
I'm
it's
with.
not, I mean, it's not really luck. It's just one of those, you just do what you do, and for some odd reason, when you succeed, you get attributed to luck or mark that one event that you've been working on this whole time that leveled you up as luck. When in actuality, I think it was just hard work, dedication, and, just time spent well.
Now, along those trajectories, do you think that your luck can be changed?
Hell yeah. You get a trust fund kid, dude? Fuck yeah, your luck is instantaneous once you're there. You know what I mean? Like, boom. Fortune, definitely number 4 on your list because you already got it. You know? Right?
I agree.
And yeah, and things can be given. For example, let's say there is an aging man who runs a somewhat small business, but still is in the 1%.
Okay.
Yet this man has no offspring, no heirs, no one to give it to because he spent his whole life, manufacturing, let's say, dildos for the hell of it. And he's perfected the craft of that dildo making. Yet he has
Sure.
no one to pass that $1 million business to. Right? So, by
Yeah.
luck, he's going to give it to his most trusted employee, I would say. Or just sell the company and donate the money. Either way, whoever's the recipient of all of his hard work, that's luck. A swing of luck for whoever receives it. Whether it be the person that becomes the owner of the company when the old man is willing to pass on his life of dildos and retire into the sunset, or if he were to catastrophically pass away for whatever reason, a dildo manufacturing robotic blow up of some sort. you know.
Robotic blow up. Yeah, you're hitting all the check boxes today.
Or if he decides to, you know, just close the business down and donate the money to, you know,
Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Make-A-Wish Foundation. I was gonna say like Anal Fisher research companies.
Golly. Dang.
You know,
okay.
something like that.
Okay. Shit.
Those people then become very lucky just because of that. So I think luck can change in an instant.
Now, I think we can also discuss, kind of going back to the whole idea of modeling luck, right? In terms of math, in terms of probability. Sure. I would argue that in general, and maybe this is not true for everything, but in general, the more people in your social network that you're actually able to reach and communicate with, the more your luck increases. Because if luck really, as we kind of described it as, the intersection of timing, preparation, and execution, being at the right place at the right time, well, I think your potential to be at the right place at the right time increases when you're pretty much in the circle of a bunch of different people, maybe in different industries, maybe in different, you know, chapters of their life. I think it just increases the probability of you just stepping into something that's extremely beneficial for you.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Yeah. But then how do you get to that level of widening your circle? It takes work. It takes effort. It takes time.
It does. It does take work. It does take effort. Not everybody is born into a social circle. Yeah. You have to cultivate it at times. You have to, you know, what some people like to do, some people are really good at casting a wide net and being able to connect at a surface level with many, 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 many people.
Social butterflies.
Social butterflies, that's right. Now, one thing the social butterflies know how to do well to keep the interest of all the flowers that are, you know, in their vicinity is to basically ping each one every once in a while.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Like if you, let's say Don, the D is a social butterfly, right?
Sure.
As a social butterfly, he may message me once in a full moon just to know that, hey, you know,
I'm alive.
I got you, buddy. I'm alive. You're alive too. Hey, just checking in. And then he goes on to the next person, the next person, the next person, the next person. And in this way, you kind of keep this superficial net going, and everybody's somewhat connected to you. Of course, people who are not exactly like a social butterfly, they prefer to have a closer, you know, tighter group of people where they ping them quite often. It could be multiple times a day, almost like a needy type of situation. Like you're always getting information back and forth, but they're satisfied with that. They don't really need to have like 20, 30 people that they regularly talk to on Facebook. Maybe 2 or 3 is sufficient. So both extremes work. But I think that if you're really looking to catch a break, and maybe this matters more if you're interested in fame, right? If you're trying to catch a break, if you're trying to, let's say, expand your business, or, you know, make your music heard by somebody who's famous, or, you know, expand your podcast to getting at least 7 subscribers.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
I know. Let's get to 6 first. Let's get to 6 first, guys. Let's get to 6. But shout out to everyone who subscribed so far. I'm pretty sure Don may be one of them. I may be one of them as well. So really, we may have.
We've doubled up at least, man. We
more than doubled.
Or
2.5.
Well, actually, is one of them the collective account we have? Fuck.
That's wait, is it really? Oh, I hope not. Wait, you can't subscribe yourself. You can subscribe yourself.
You know, I don't know.
That would be pathetic, by the way. If you can subscribe, that is pathetic. That pisses me off, by the way.
If you could like your own Instagram posts and like your own Facebook posts, you know, I'm pretty sure.
How do you follow yourself? On Instagram?
We'll figure it out. I'm pretty sure it's not. I thought it'd be hilarious, though.
I feel you. But, you know, I think you're kind of right, and I'm right as well on this topic. I think we have a lot of agreement when it comes to the 4 Fs. I appreciate your vision of basically not prioritizing fortune as much. I liked your example of the dildo factory magnate.
It's fantastic,
right? Who basically passes on his good fortunes and all the moldings, I suppose, to some lucky employee who was close enough to that person. It makes sense. I think, you know, you go through life, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know at what time you'll be included in a conversation or able to execute, you know, upon meeting somebody. But sometimes it does work out. Sometimes, as we like to call it, the stars align. And speaking of stars, one star that we talk about almost every other podcast, of course, is none other than Kanye West. And I came across this article recently from genius.com, which I go to from time to time whenever I'm trying to basically understand what the hell these rappers are talking about. This article in particular is called Kanye West Once Tried to Steal Eminem's Drum Kit by Eddie Fu from May 25th, 2020. And essentially, this article kind of goes into the history of Kanye West as a producer and how at one point back in 2004, Kanye West kind of considered Eminem to be a top five producer, and for good reason. He was working on a lot of music for himself, for D12, his group, and even for some other artists, and he was learning from Dr. Dre as well. And so basically, the article goes on to say that Kanye was trying to steal as many of the drum samples as possible from Eminem because he thought M was such a dope ass producer. And, you know, he couldn't just walk up to him and ask him to borrow the samples because it's a little bit intimidating, especially considering Kanye wasn't the Kanye we know today 16 years ago. But Eminem was. Eminem was the apex of the star. And so I thought it's so wild that these legends of the game are, you know, in this universe where one legend is looking up to the other and trying to steal a drum kit, trying to be like him in any way possible, trying to make sure that he's trying to be the best producer by emulating others. And so my first question to you, Don, is this, and I know you're probably going to flip it around to me, but let's say before even talking about what you've been doing recently with your Ableton Studio or your Ableton Live, what did you look for in hip hop specifically? What kind of production did you look for? Were you kind of interested in the heavy sample driven beats with, like, let's say like a Kanye chopping up the soul?
Nah.
Nah, okay.
Nah. That's
clearly
too hard, dude. Too hard.
Okay.
Dude, for me, when it came to making that beat, that wonderful beat that will be done, I'm shooting for end of the year, maybe at the latest, or earliest.
Okay, because before you said 2023. You said 2023 before, but all right.
2020.
2020, okay.
Right now, I'm such an amateur when it comes to this. That's why it will get thrown back to you. To me, it's what makes me feel good, what I want to exude, and whether it be just getting a bounce going that, you know, I enjoy, and getting the right, you know, claps in or the right snares in at the right time that I want it to be at. It's not, it's not necessarily copying someone, but I do use other people's sort of skeletons, so to say, to build off of.
Okay.
I just build the muscles a little bit different, like, you know.
Ooh, I like that.
You know, everybody always wants to have like badass pecs and traps and shit. Like, nah, you know, for me, I just want calves. Like, I want to be the guy with the calves that like no one has, right? Like the, what was it? Like the 16 calves? No, maybe something like that, or the 15 calves? Best calves team. That's what I'm going for.
Ah, gotcha.
Get that reference a little bit, something like that?
I do. At first, I was thinking, wait, there are people out there with 16 calf muscles? What the hell? But then I understood. Oh, yes, the championship NBA champion, the calves. Yes.
And yeah, I mean, because I'm so young when it comes to music production, it was just.
But Don, really, my question wasn't necessarily about what you're doing now. It's really when you listen to more hip hop back in the day, like let's say in your formative years, what kind of production appealed to you the most?
Dude, like, you're gonna hate this answer. I listened mostly to like Timbaland and stuff when I was in my formative years in high school when I was really getting into hip hop.
Sure.
And to me, that was because, I mean, it was catchy in a different way, and it had that bounce that I was talking about, and I think maybe that's why I alluded to it earlier without even knowing. It just has to feel like I could fuck with it. Like, it's a good thing going on. So that's,
Wait, but why would you think that I'd be mad at you for that response? I think that's a great answer.
Oh, dude, because I know you, man. You're so hardcore West Coast.
Am I really?
I think so,
know.
dude. I think so.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I actually consider Timbaland to be one of the best producers
Oh,
for hip hop.
hands down. And I mean, I say that because, I mean, back in the day, people, or rather, I'm sure you could probably agree with this. A lot of people nowadays, or a lot of the quote-unquote hip-hop heads, are like, 90s rap was where it was at. It's never going to be the same, da-da-da-da-da. And it won't, because that shit was the 90s. It's different now. Of course it's not going to be the same. But when you talk about 90s rap, you talk about the eloquence, the informative and real aspects of it that you typically don't get in such goats as Tekashi and Lil Wayne and stuff like that. Well, Lil Wayne, though, is a little different. You know, a little different. Hey, little different, right?
Definitely. I mean, they're worlds apart, but I mean, one world is like pretty bad, and the other one's also not so good. But that's my personal opinion.
Hey, man. You know who's one of Kendrick Lamar's favorite rappers?
Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
That's fine. We don't have to agree on everything. I mean, you know, not everyone has great taste, but they can still produce good stuff. You know, it's all good. But I will say this. I think, you know, you probably have heard this album, but Timbaland's Shock Value, the first Shock Value, was amazing to me.
Yep.
Because here's this guy that sampled anything under the sun. Right? Like, I remember watching so many videos about the making of the album and even like interviews from him, and he would talk about how he sampled, you know, European tracks, Indian, Bollywood music. He would sample, you know, he would actually make a lot of the drum samples in his studio by like, you know, tapping, you know, utensils on top of a table, or you know, flicking a rubber band and making noises with his mouth. And that is like next level producing, because you don't have to worry about any sample clearance if you're making all the sounds in your studio, right? And he, as you said, he had a very innovative, fresh, funky, some would even call it fat way of making music. And I really admired that about him, because for me, in my formative years, I would say my favorite producer was Dr. Dre.
Sure. And see what I mean? West Coast. Boom.
Well, what West Coast, maybe it starts with the West Coast for sure, because I remember listening to the production of the Chronic 2001 and thinking, my goodness, this is a masterpiece. Like, there is no better produced album in hip hop.
Hey, and I will always remember it. Back in my, what was it, 92 Camry, we would have those burn CDs, and and that was one of them that was constantly on that rotate. But see, you had that like 5-disc shuffle. That was disc number 4 for me right there.
I feel you. So Chronic 2001, very influential from a beat-making, producing standpoint. And I think what I took away from there was Dr. Dre's ability to use like classical instruments, violins, hard piano chords, in a way that's very modern. Infuse it with the 808s, with the beats, to make it kind of not trappy, but very West Coast. It's like a unique West Coast sound. And I'll be lying to you if I said I didn't try to emulate that. In a lot of my music, I have tried to emulate that, and it's probably apparent to you from some of the strings I use, from some of the, you know, brass and piano.
I was going to say the horns. The horns I could tell.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. And so Dr. Dre being my first influence, Timbaland being my second, actually. So I'm not mad at your response at all. I think that's a great response.
Okay.
My third, believe it or not, I jumped on the whole Kanye West bandwagon later than most.
Ooh, I was going to say Taylor Swift. I'm a little disappointed there.
Damn. Sorry, Taylor, but Beyonce had the best video of all time. You know, but with Kanye, the thing is, I knew of him, right? His songs were on the radio, Late Registration, even Graduation, actually. And what's the other one? College Dropout. His songs were very popular. I enjoyed his music, but I never really paid attention to him at the time because, and this is my fault, I was such a loyalist to 50 Cent. I was such a fan of the whole 50 Cent G-Unit gangster rap era because that's kind of the hip-hop group that got me into hip hop. Kind of weird, I know. I mean, it's hardcore gangster rap, but that really appealed to me. I think I like the passion, the aggression in there. And for the longest time, 50 was kind of the king of New York. He was running things. And then it wasn't until the battle between the Curtis album and the Graduation album that Kanye finally broke through another ceiling and proved to everybody that, you know what? His style of hip hop is very commercially viable, and 50 Cent's style of gangster rap is long gone. Nobody's really trying to pay attention to it anymore. So when that happened, I started paying more attention to him, and I realized, wow, Kanye's a really, really dope producer, especially his older stuff, which everyone loves the most, right? The chop up the soul Kanye, straight from the go Kanye, as they like to say. And that is something I oftentimes try to emulate because I'm fascinated by the idea of taking a song from the 70s, 60s, 50s, whatever it may be, taking a certain element of it, could be a vocal sample, could be a piano riff, could be a guitar riff, and using that as the backbone of a brand new beat and infusing it, imbuing it with 808s, snares, hi-hats, whatever else you can find, and creating a new beat with it. That's why, for instance, some of the beats that I personally really enjoyed working on. Do you remember the Plat de Jour beat where it's like that French girl?
Yeah, the one that I said, too many samples? Yeah.
No. It's not that one.
That
The one you're thinking of is the Erykah Badu one. Badu one. But the Plat de Jour is the one where you basically introduce yourself for like 6 bars. Like, it's your boy D. Here we go again.
I remember.
Yeah. So that particular beat, if you ever have a chance to play it back again, I really liked how it turned out. Like, I really thought it turned out well because I was able to take a song called Tout Doucement, a French song by the artist Feist, and chop it up in a way where I created a hip-hop dance track from something that wasn't hip-hop at all, wasn't dance at all, was kind of a ballad almost, like a very kind of a weird type of song, not the type of song I would usually listen to. But I loved being able to do that, taking something from a completely different genre, and picking and choosing the elements that I want and creating a new song for other people to enjoy. I really felt at that moment that was one of my better productions out there. And, not to kind of go on and on and on about myself, but putting it all together, one of the bigger songs that I worked on, and you were involved as well, was a song I referred to as Freedom 45. And this was the one where you did the opening verse, and I think you had a line in there like ACGNT, and now it's up to you to decode the day, something like that.
DNA, something. Yeah, I think that's where we got DNA going.
I think so. So that song, that verse, that bar in particular was very important for the origin of this group. But I'll just say that particular song, I don't know if you realize it, but I sampled 3 different things there. I sampled, of course, primarily Where Is My Mind by the Pixies, but not even the original song. It was a piano cover of it by like Maxence Siren. I found it on YouTube. So that was kind of the core of the beat, the piano melody, very soft piano melody. And on top of that, I sampled the Kanye West TMZ interview where he basically went off for about 15 minutes. He was talking about how slavery is a choice. He was talking about like getting liposuction and like taking opioids and whatnot. I just thought that was such a powerful, entertaining, very entertaining, compelling interview. I had to use it in some way. So I used that. And then at the end, I thought, okay, since the song always talks about think free, freedom, why not take a song recommended by my friend that was Free Falling by Tom Petty. Tom Petty is not even a hip-hop artist. I think he's like a rock artist or something, like an American guitarist or whatnot. And I listened to the song, and I took the part where he says, and I'm free falling, and I interpolated that into the chorus along with Kanye's samples and everything. And I thought to myself, wow, I can't believe I created this. I can't believe I put this together almost organically. Like, did I have a vision to put this all together like this when I started? No, I'm not a genius in that regard that can think 10 moves ahead in chess. No, I kind of do things organically, spontaneously. I listen to this, I like it, I try to add it. If it doesn't work, I remove it, I try something else. It's a lot of trial trial and error. It's a very much a labor of love until I get it just right. And when I did get it right, at least to me, it sounded good. And I got you to rap over it. I got myself and a couple other people to rap over it. I thought, you know what? This is the apex of what I want to do. Creating a beat, original, by fusing like all these different things together, having my friends rap over it, contributing to it. And that really warmed my soul. I thought that was one of my crowning achievements in my amateur career.
Oh yeah, man.
So,
yeah, and I think that goes to show how Fortune should be number 4 on your listing, because you didn't mention money at all.
I did not mention money for this particular hobby. Notice how I don't say side hustle.
I like how the H. There were like 2 H's or something. There was like hobby.
Hey man, it's called enunciation, man. It's enunciation.
Well, I didn't know there was a silent H already in there. You know. Like,
hey man, there's a lot of H's in there. Even a triple H. There's a triple H in there and a pedigree. You know, if you know my pedigree, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but
man.
but you know, I guess I think that's probably the reason why, even to this day, I'm so interested in hip hop music. Granted, I may not be as receptive to the racks of the world and all the younger people like the 6ix9ines and whatnot, but I think at the core, what it comes down to is I appreciate the sound. I appreciate the art form that is a production. And because I like that so much, naturally, I will always have a place in my heart for good hip-hop music, even if it's coming from younger artists that I've never heard of. If it's good, if it's quality, I think it'll resonate with me.
Sure. Well, listen to some Tekashi then, dude. That's where it's at.
I bet you can't even quote a single lyric from him.
You don't need to. Just start shouting, and there you go.
Be careful, though. You might get arrested. Then you'll snitch on all your friends.
That's what I say. Just snitch. You
Be
get
careful
out.
about that. Yeah. But, I think the world is eagerly awaiting, with bated breath, to find out what becomes of this track that you're working on. I know you gave a timeline of 2020 before the end of 2020. I think maybe if we can get our subscriber count up to, let's say, 10, you might be under the gun a little bit to release that as an outro, huh?
Yeah, I say once we hit. What about a dozen? Since I'm trying to be a baker and all, let's go with the dozen.
Honestly, man, I'd be happy if we get 6. Like, it's the thing I realize is, and we'll probably talk about this more offline, but it's hard to get random people to subscribe to a podcast.
Dude, the way I see it is it's similar to like getting followers on for my company, for Bunso. If you do what you love, it doesn't matter. It will come. Like, my followers now are growing like crazy, and it's just because I'm doing what I love and just being natural with it. Don't skip any corners. Don't do any of that. Just kind of do what feels right. Do stuff that you would naturally do, and do stuff that you would hope other people will vibe with, because you vibe with it. And yeah, man, dude. Hey, it's sick because this week, man, for Bunso, we're releasing a new item.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never guess it, man. It's boba. I'm hella excited about it, man. People have been asking about it for a while.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So my wife and I are gonna be releasing our real milk tea boba this week.
Mm-hmm.
Real milk tea, right? Because I don't know if you know, but how often do you go and get boba?
Never.
Kelly's actually 100% right.
He doesn't like boba. He doesn't like boba.
Because you chew, you don't swallow.
No, this is a different friend.
Oh.
No, dude. I had a friend, like, when he would get boba, he's like, I hate boba. I never get boba. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? He's like, yeah, I didn't know you had to chew the boba. Like, he would be swallowing the whole boba balls. And then he's like, I don't know why people like this shit.
I may piss off both of you guys by saying this, but I think I don't understand boba. I don't understand the point of boba, because look, if I want to drink something, if I want to drink something sweet, I would get almond milk tea without boba. I don't see the need of having these yogurt balls, these tapioca balls that I have to chew on.
Whoa. Well, it's like having... It's a snack. to the way I see it, it's like a street snack that will hold you off until your real meal comes along, because it is starch, right? And to me, it's like eating gummy bears in a desserty way without eating gummy bears. It's like being guilty without having to feel guilty.
Well, I guess that's the difference between me and you. I'm not a fan of gummy bears either.
Who are you, man? The more and more I get to know you, man, the more and more. Hey, episode 8 might be the last one here, guys. I'm just saying,
man,
gummy bears and elbow.
I might have to release a diss track. And Don is the outro track.
Yeah, like without even warning, no pre-production. Like, yo, I got something to listen to. All right, play it. Yo, what the fuck? Pause that shit. Hold on.
Let's talk about this, man. Let's talk about this. You know, I was kidding about episode 8, right? No, I hear you. But wait, so tell me more about your real milk tea boba.
Oh, so I was saying, because, I mean, all right, you don't drink a lot of boba, but typically when you go to a lot of these franchises that serve boba, they typically use a lot of powders to flavor their drinks. They use a lot of high fructose corn syrup and mass-produced boba balls, for example, also. And the milk, for example, isn't even milk. It's usually half and half, or coffee creamer that they'll just mix in with water. So warning out there, if you see your boba barista making boba and you see her or him scooping some powders into it, that's not a good place that you want to be.
But what's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? What's wrong with the powder?
Nothing's wrong with it. Nothing's wrong with it. I mean, unless you want cancer in the future. But, you know, to me, food is an art. When you go to mass production sort of things like that, why pay that price for something you could do on your own? If you could go and buy the powder yourself.
They're not willing to do it on their own, Don. That's the thing. People are lazy.
Wrong way of going about things, man. The way I see it, food should be enjoyed, and it should be at its highest point of craftsmanship. If you stray away from the root too far, it defies what the original concept was. Like when we traveled to visit Kelly's family in Taiwan, I had my best boba over there, and the reason being was they just used real ingredients. Like, I had boba with real milk from a cow that they just milked maybe a couple hours before I got it.
Wow.
Right? And it was like freshly made boba. And there weren't any powders. It was just milk and boba and sugar.
Okay.
At Milk Shop. Right. And so that's what we're doing with our boba. We're calling it real... What is it? Real milk tea boba?
No, let's get real.
Oh, Let's Get Real is the company. Kelly.
Oh, okay.
But it's real milk boba.
Okay.
And it's honestly going to be milk, whole milk, done right.
Whole milk?
Some brown sugar.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. Well, dude, typically you're getting half and half. And half is basically more fat than whole milk. And you didn't know.
Artificial.
Yeah. Or you're getting the powdered stuff, which is meant to be added to coffee, which, you know... with some nicely firm and chewy boba balls that's seeping in a nice Taiwanese brown sugar bath.
Swimming.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a bitch to clean afterwards because that sugar is gonna harden. But,
sure.
You know, you do it for the fans. You do it for the fans.
So this is gonna be your first time selling boba, right?
First time ever. No, this is gonna be our. Actually. For a pure boba drink, yes, this is our first time selling boba. We've done boba in the past, but more for traditional, Filipino sort of desserts. But this is the first drink that's going with our combos. So
that's exciting. That's really exciting, dude.
Well, now you're getting a full combo with us, dude. It's I'm kind of going with a burger and egg roll concept right now, and what better way to expand on the menu than to actually have a drink offering to make it a complete combo.
So, like, how hard is it to make boba the way that you're intending on making it? Is it a very time-consuming process or no? It's
definitely laborious.
Okay.
You get the starch, you add some water, cook it out a little bit, to form it, and then you got to roll each ball unless you got the machine. So
wow, so you're actually creating the individual boba balls.
Yeah.
Dude, that is insane.
Dude, I'll tell you. You do things the hard way. So that way, see, and this is my business concept too. If I do everything from the ground up, if I'm the one mopping the floor after everyone's done making a mess, if I'm the one rolling each ball, if I'm the one going to the stores, picking up shit, or waiting in line to pick up shit, you know, and rushing to and from, lifting heavy ass boxes just because, what better way is it to learn than to actually do it, you know? So
I'm with you.
Yeah,
You basically want to experience every facet of this restaurant business.
Yep.
I like it.
So like right now I am chief dishwasher, chief janitor, chief laborman, chief slave.
Sure.
A little bit of everything.
Chief slave. That's an interesting one.
Hey man, you have no idea. Hey, you want anything to eat? Yes, master. I got you. You know.
Understood. So, when is your next event?
Tomorrow night. SoCal DNA coming in live. 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. So it's Bunso this time. Bunso coming in live. 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. Actually, no, not 8 o'clock. What are we going? 5?
Earlier. 5 o'clock, right?
Yeah. So you can pre-order.
So
it's going to be out.
Part of the Lokels Only, right? In downtown LA?
It's part of the Lokels Only. We're going to be launching merch, I think, next week. So that's probably what I'll share with everyone.
Oh, nice.
We're officially launching the Fat Kids Club. But it should be good, man.
Hey,
but I know, I mean, on the topic of boba, dude, I know you wanted to talk about something.
Yeah, I did. So, a friend of mine, she brought up this new craze.
Ooh.
Coworker.
Ooh, I know. I know you're single, man. You're ready to mingle.
Hey, let's not. So, let's not say things that'll embarrass us. But so, a friend of mine brought up this this craze that's been going on recently called it's basically like a boba ice cream bar, and I've never heard of this before. I thought, this is some new, like, maybe fancy craze that you can find at like 85 Degree Bakery, but no, this is actually packaged from Taiwan. It's imported here, and I think a certain company makes it. So I found this article that kind of goes into it by Grace Wong from the Chicago Tribune on February 20th, 2020. It's a little bit dated, so apologies about that. But essentially, this is a brown sugar boba ice cream bar, and they have been flying off the shelves for a few months now.
Yep.
And it is, it looks very good. Like, I look at it, I've seen it taken out of the package too. In the article, they actually show a picture of what it looks like. It's kind of like, when you mix some, what would that be? I guess it's the creamer. When you put that into the coffee and you see like the colors change, it kind of looks like that. And,
and honestly, I could describe it. That's brown sugar right there. That is in it. So it's going to be similar to ours. And it's funny that you bring it up. I didn't know the creator, or rather the producer, is from Taiwan. But yeah, like the best boba is there. And that's how a good brown sugar milk tea should look.
So why do you think brown sugar milk tea in general is so popular?
Like I said, it's almost like a snack. It's a cheap snack that you can get on the go that isn't too heavy. It's cold in a very warm and sort of humid climate. It'll cool you down. Easily transportable. And I don't know, it's delicious, dude. It's like, rather than drinking hot tea, which is very, very big in some Asian cultures, you got to cool yourself down sometimes with that tea. So make it iced. And what better way than combining it with some nice milk to get those nutrients and protein to push you through the day.
All right. So clearly, only one of us has actually tried this in real life.
Oh, it's
this
delicious.
boba ice cream. So yeah, tell me about your general experience. Like, I'm sure you're able to get this quite frequently from maybe some local,
dude. There were a couple weeks where like we were fully stocked on it because my mom enjoys them a lot, and of course whatever she wants, I'll stock. But it's super, super creamy in a good way, not overtly creamy, but super creamy, where it feels like you're actually eating milk ice cream, not milk ice, or some derivative of milk, like in powder form. And of course you get the brown sugar, and they get it like nice and caramelized, so it's not just sweet. You get like sort of like these roasty, toasty notes in it.
Yeah.
But what really surprised me is that the boba is still soft and chewy. And as a scientist, or that you are, typically when you freeze things, they're not supposed to end up chewy when they're still frozen. But they got it right. Like, it is probably the best boba I've had in a while.
And you know, on that point, I kind of want to read one part of this article for the audience so they can understand what's going on here.
Sure.
So, according to the, and I'm sure I'm butchering this, Xiao Mei Chinese language website, the key ingredient of its bars is milk from New Zealand and Australia.
Ooh.
Surprising. Plus the caramel brown sugar, of course.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I described it correctly.
And this is the interesting part, and the quote-unquote Q texture, a culinary term used to describe a springy yet chewy food texture beloved in East Asia of the boba balls. So this texture is notoriously difficult to achieve and requires fresh batches of tapioca bubbles every few hours during production. Otherwise, they seize up and get hard.
Yep.
And I thought that was fascinating. Like, look at the amount of work that goes into making these bars.
Hell yeah.
And so that leads me... Oh, go ahead.
No. I was going to end it on it, but go ahead.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question. From what I hear, if you go to, let's say, a local Japanese grocer like the Siwa Market in Costa Mesa, you can find maybe a box of these containing 4 bars for $10. That breaks down to $2.50 per bar. That sounds like a lot to me.
Okay, so we were going at it too. Yeah, because when we got it, it was $7.99.
Damn.
So
okay,
to hear that
better.
it's $10, hey babe, this is $10. These bars are $10 in Costa Mesa. Yeah. See, my wife just made a funny face. Like, really? Because to me, even at $2 a piece, that's pricey. And because, well, in general, boba can be marked up. The fact that these bars are not large bars, on top of the fact that they're $2 a piece, is definitely showcasing how much of a novelty item it can be at times. Because it's hot. I think production-wise, this is nowhere near 5% of cost when it comes to it. You know, when you scale that high. Whether or not it's worth it to at least try it, I think it's worth it to try it. At least once. Or twice. Or a full box worth.
Well, I think so. I think what I'll try to do, I mean, I don't go to Sewa Market very often, and I think they have reduced hours, which makes it even harder to go there. But I'll try to drop by one of these places, whether it's like this market or, you know, maybe it's in Tokyo Central or H Mart. I'll try to find this box, and I think next time I do, I will let you know in advance. We'll probably do a little bit of a review.
Yeah. Well, you let me know, and then we'll plan it out, and I'll try to find some, and we'll both crack one open, and we'll suck one. We'll suck one for that episode.
We'll suck one instead of sip one. Huh? That's a new one. That's a new phrase. But yeah, I think this is something that I had no idea existed.
Or what we can do is, just so everybody knows, in a prequel episode, Arjun had agreed to eat some halal guys with us. The nice kicker was, he said he could take the red sauce of halal guys.
I can.
And so, he's going to be doing 10 lines of halal guys red sauce.
Easy.
And I'm sure when the person is putting those lines, since you say 10, those aren't going to be little light cocaine lines. Those are going to be some heavy dabbers that they're hopefully put on yours.
Some heavy dabbers.
Right? I think it would go well to pair those two together because, you know, after the suffering that I expect you to have while eating the 10 lines of halal guys red sauce, you might need some milk to help alleviate the pain.
No, it doesn't.
You know what? I'll do you one solid here, because Kelly and I have beef about these lines and who can take more. I will pay for the boba ice cream bar so we can all enjoy. We can all have a good time. We can put our beef, we can put our conflict under the bridge. It's water under the bridge, and we'll be able to enjoy some nice milk boba.
Oh, of course, and that's what food does. See, it gets rid of all problems, one way or another. That's the way to do it, right at the dinner table.
There you go. There you go. So that sounds like a good idea. I think we will save that for a future podcast episode.
Sure thing.
And, I think this is probably a good time to start wrapping it up for the audience. Dee, do you have any last-minute updates or messages for our fans out there?
Well, I mean, I'm sorry again that we're moving the days around. I've been grinding, been working hard, especially through this COVID season. My business is growing, luckily, and I think it's because I've been prepared enough to be agile enough to adapt to the situation. So hopefully, if you guys are struggling or you guys got stuff going on, everything's okay. We'll all get through this together somehow, and if you're ever looking for some help, Arjun is definitely there for you. I'm too busy to help right now, so Arjun's your guy.
I will definitely do my best to help out my 5 subscribers.
Well, it's like 3 realistically, right? Like
it's really 3. It's really 3. Discounting myself and Don, it's really 3. But I will definitely do my best there. But as a brief update here, for the longest time I was telling you, hey, like the stimulus check, like when's it supposed to come in?
Sure.
I finally got it.
Hell
week, I finally got it.
Hell yeah, man.
It took a while. It took quite some time.
I'm wondering why, dude. Hey, they probably you don't report your capital gains, do you? That's probably it right there.
No, well, the funny thing is, I actually didn't have any capital gains tax to report last year. So this year, though, for reasons it's going to be a whole worksheet and a half. Trust on that one. But
yeah, man.
Apparently, and I don't know if this was true for you, separate from the actual check that you get, there's supposedly a letter that's signed by Donald Trump.
Yes, I got that. I framed it. It is fantastic.
Did you really? Okay, I was gonna ask you.
No, I didn't frame it. Come on, like with those, come on. Unless I see the real ink mark, I could give 2 shits about it.
Got you. I just thought it was. I haven't gotten mine yet. I'm still waiting on mine, but I will look forward to that. I'll probably pass it off to my dad because he seems to be. Well, that's a topic for another day. That's
sure.
But yeah, man. I hope for the best for everybody. I know these are tough times, like Don said, but really, it's about having some things to look forward to in life, and sometimes it's the little things like the SoCal DNA podcast. Pop us in on your headphones for maybe an hour and a half and enjoy the ride, enjoy the conversation, enjoy the D and the A ripping off of each other, just kind of talking smack, coming together over a nice real milk boba tea, and definitely for all the fans that are watching, do try to make it out to Lokels Only tomorrow, 5 o'clock. That's when the D will be there.
Yeah. Make
your orders and everything, and we will catch you next time. So everybody take care, and we will talk to you next Wednesday, hopefully.
Yep. Absolutely. Catch you later, guys. Peace.